I'm Max Keeping. On Newsline, how times have changed. Families of the 90s share the workload differently. And some tips on better nutrition on your dinner table.
But we want to bring in Leon Corby, who is in London at Liberal headquarters. Leon, with those type of results in the Premier's own riding and across the province, it can't be a happy place tonight.
No, well, there's not very many people here right at the moment, Tom, actually to be happy or sad. Just one little update on the numbers Lynn offered. If you take a look at the screen right behind me here, the Liberals' own numbers show a slightly different score. They show quite a different score there whatsoever. But anyways, there are very few people here this evening. A lot of them are walking around. Some of them are just walking around in disbelief. They don't quite understand it, and it's quite a stark contrast to 1987.
Leon, are you saying that the Liberal brain trust weren't really aware that this was going to descend on them tonight, that they were still holding on to the hope that they could cling to government?
Well, I think there were some that were clinging on to the hope. Certainly the advisors I spoke with weren't letting on that this type of results were going to come up this evening. They were certainly talking that perhaps Liberal minority, perhaps squeak out a majority, or perhaps an NDP minority, but never a majority.
You were in the Peterson campaign bus for the last 3 days, and did you not see the signs of desperation there?
Well, you certainly saw the signs of desperation in their campaign. His heated attack on Bob Rae, it was scathing. It was quite an indication that the Liberals were certainly in trouble.
And unsuccessful. The Red Menace, the threat of the Red Menace obviously wasn't being bought by the people of Ontario.
Well, that may have worked against them, Max. Perhaps that did work against them, and some people felt that a little bit too much to take from the Premier.
Okay, thank you, Leon.
Thank you, Max.
Tom, you've got more news from downtown. It is a national holiday beginning at midnight. That's 7 p.m. our time. Police are gearing up for demonstrations by rightist and leftist radicals in central Berlin, where the Berlin Wall used to stand.
Only hours before the reunification of the two Germanys, the Allied powers relinquished their post-war control over the one-time Nazi capital. The complete handover of Berlin to the new German government ends more than 4 decades of Allied control, when Berlin became the front line of the Cold War. East Germany's Volkskammer, or Parliament, met for the final time before it was dissolved. After today, all political functions will be directed by one German parliament. Millions of Germans across this soon-to-be united nation already have begun to celebrate what will be an all-night party. Thousands of police reinforcements have been sent to Berlin to control right and left-wing extremist groups, which are expected to try to disrupt the celebrations. But nothing can interrupt the process. At the stroke of midnight, there will be no East and West, but only one Germany. Mike Betcher, NBC News, Berlin.
It is less than a year ago. East Germans streamed through the wall that has cut them off from the West for decades. The pace of reunification soon proves to be frantic. By March, East Germany holds its first democratic elections. The Christian Democrat, Lothar de Maizière, and his promise of the fastest route to Western prosperity win by a landslide.
There are demands which are unreasonable. The average East German expects in a very short time to have the same living standards as a West German.
By July, monetary union is introduced and the West German mark takes over. East Germans rush to claim their cash bonuses, but celebrations are muted. The downside of reunification is becoming clearer, both to West Germans.
We have to pay for all, yeah.
And to East Germans.
We will be the second class in Germany.
As East Germany struggles to become a market economy, it must learn to cope with previously unheard of concepts: efficiency, productivity, and unemployment. East Germany's antiquated industries are in far worse shape than anticipated. But West Germany is already Europe's economic powerhouse, and the East is just more fuel for the machine.
It is quite an irony that after losing 2 world wars, that Germany should now be in a position once again to be the leading power in Europe and a leading power in the world.
Later in the broadcast, Newsline's Richard Gisbert with a special report on unification. There are an estimated 2.5 million ethnic Germans living in Canada. About 8,000 live here in the capital. The German embassy is holding a lavish reception tomorrow. Tonight, though, any celebrations are private. So how do German Canadians feel about tonight's celebration?
Well, since the 9th of November last year, the German community is elated.
For 30 years, we've shown you our hometown's triumph and tragedies. In doing so, we've tried to reflect the concerns and the values of our community, particularly that deep sense of caring and sharing that gives a city heart. In turn, you've responded by making us Ottawa's #1 news source. And for that, we thank you very much and pledge to continue to serve our hometown proudly in the future. After 30 years, we're still here for you.